way, but there's also, I put on my metrics glasses, all my analytics glasses for all those nerds out there.
The Thomas Bryant jockstrap, get him out of here!
How does that not indicate to you, like, hey, sometimes, like, these prospects are awesome?
Donald, get back! They snatched that chain, boy, get back! What's all gonna do about it? Popeye snatched that chain, get back! We want that snack wrap. They got 3 flavors, y'all got 1. Get back.
Hey, everybody, welcome on into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. And today we have so much to talk about, so let's jump right into the news. Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, took to the social streets to talk about the Cleveland Guardians' name and how he wants it changed back. Quote, the Cleveland Indians, at the time, of course, one of the 6 original baseball teams with a storied past, are great Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen. Is that true? I'm not positive, but he wants them to go back to the Guardians. President Chris Antonetti spoke on Donald Trump's comments, saying, we understand there are different perspectives on the decision we made a few years ago, but obviously it's a decision we made. We've got the opportunity to build a brand as the Guardians over the last 4 years and are excited about the future that's in front of us. Never in that statement did he say that they aren't going to go back. He didn't confirm anything or deny it, but it's a pretty loose-end statement from Chris Antonetti and company.
Ryan, I'm glad that you picked up on that the same way that I did, because that was my first takeaway, is never in that statement did he say we're not changing the name back to the Indians. Like, it definitely was a statement that read, hey, we put the last 4 years into marketing and building the Guardians as a brand, and moving forward, we're excited about our future, but what is that future? Is it a future as the Cleveland Guardians or future as the Cleveland Indians? I think the reason why, guys, they have to be a little bit sensitive of how they word these statements about the name change, which is such a sensitive subject in this town, is because new ownership is coming in the next 4 years, and you don't know how, next 3 years really, and you don't know how they feel about a potential flip back to the Indians, how they feel about the Guardians, maybe something else. Like, I do think we'll see the team continue to proceed with caution, because a new majority owner could have a different feeling about the name.
And Nick, I think you made a great point, because when I saw this originally in Chris Antonetti's statement, I was just sitting in bed. So the sitting in bed, Jack O'Rourke, context clues, how I pulled out of that was, we made this change. He didn't even really say anything positive about making the change. Also, I would add, just kind of like, hey, we made a change, like we had to pivot, and off that pivot, we like what we've done since. That, Nick, that really does create the conversation. Like, I immediately thought, like, oh, they might be going back. That was the first thought in my head, because you wouldn't, if you were totally out of making that a name again, I mean, obviously, with stuff involving politics, like, you're not going to go crazy saying anything one way or another, but right. I think they would put to bed, like, hey, we are the Cleveland Guardians. We made this decision a couple of years ago. We understand some people might not like it, but we're the Cleveland Guardians now. I think that's how you say it, if that's what you truly intend to do, and they didn't do that. So yeah, I mean, I think my head kind of sits in an unsure place of what the name's going to be in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, they had an opportunity right there, right? For the first time really since 2021, when the name was changed to Guardians, they had an opportunity to kind of stand 10 toes down, stand on business and draw the line in the sand, saying, hey, the president said what he said, we're the Cleveland Guardians. That wasn't said,
and that's what they would say if that was the for sure thing, right? That's like, in my minor PR experience background, I think that's the statement you roll out.
But I think it's just because it's been known as this, like, it's been a downgrade, regardless of what the times were and what it was when they made the decision. It's not as iconic of the name. All the gear was way cooler when we were still the Indians. You had more branding. You could call people the tribe. Like, it's all taken a slight step back. And now them having a place with Donald Trump saying that to maybe even open the door a little as to where people may be moving and thinking a different way, that you might be able to bring it back. Of course, he's not going to slam the door shut when the first moment arises that you could possibly have a way out if it's something you regret.
I don't know. I think, Rob, you made a great point there, but I think part of it as well, going back, like, let's all be honest here. I think everyone in the world knows unspokenly we got the 2019 All-Star game because we got rid of Chief Wahoo. Like, there was clearly a plan in place from the league at some point, even earlier than COVID or 2020, where the name was going to be moved on from eventually. I think they just rushed it. I think it's in a weird spot where if the name is perceived to be racist and you're going to move on from it, that they had to move and act immediately. I think the winged helmet logo looked terrible. I think almost everyone can admit that. I think if they came out from day one with like the statue bat logo, that was Guardians, like the Art Deco look you kind of see like they use on all their social media stuff still to this day.
Yeah, the City Connect stuff.
The City Connect stuff. Like the backlash would not have been nearly as bad. I know this is all over the internet. You're not hearing anything new here, but the way they rolled it out and how quickly they rolled it out, it was never going to truly go right. And I still don't think we've seen the full extent of what the Guardians rebrand is. Because I do think within the next 2 years, if this is the way they go and they choose to keep the Guardians name, I think the bat logo or the statue bat becomes the main logo.
The other piece of this too is the one thing that the people that are very supportive of the Cleveland Indians name can say is the Chicago Blackhawks exist. In baseball, the Atlanta Braves exist. Florida State Seminoles exist. So like if all of these other teams can exist, the argument can be made, and I've certainly heard it be made, that the Indians would probably be the least offensive, of the Chiefs, the Seminoles, the Braves. These are teams that took monikers of actual tribes and are turning that into branding and mascots and logos and then monetizing all of that, which was the issue here in Cleveland, was the fact that we were making money off of what was perceived to be racist caricature with Chief Wahoo and the name Indians, which is kind of factually incorrect in and of itself. So this is a topic that I kind of thought was going to be dead and buried a long time ago. And here we sit in 2025 still talking about the name. And Jack, you said it, they had an opportunity to slam the door shut and say that we are going to be the Cleveland Guardians moving forward. And that door wasn't shut. And that's maybe because they have had different names throughout their history. Like they've been the Spiders. They've been all sorts of the Naps at one point. The Blues. Like they have had different names. So maybe it won't be Guardians. It won't
Naps.
be Indians. It'll be something else. Like I always kind of thought the way to do it, to pivot off of it, and I understand why they didn't because it wasn't a drastic enough of a change. I always kind of thought it would have been cool to just do the Cleveland Tribe. That's kind of what people called it anyways. You're taking away the name Indians, which is factually incorrect. Christopher Columbus arrived in America and thought he found India when called everyone that was here Indians. That isn't true. He was not in India.
He sailed the ocean blue.
So I always thought the tribe would be cool. And I do think if they pivot, maybe that's something they should consider. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one thing where like I've always just kind of said like, oh, just go to a tribe game because it's just like been so ingrained in my head for so long. But Nick, in a way, to argue a little bit on Cleveland Tribe, I kind of think they tried to do that. I'm not saying they did a great job of it or what they were going for, but in a way, I don't think Guardians and keeping that DIANS in the script jersey, like me, I'm legally blind. If I take these off, the Indians and the Guardians don't look that different on a jersey, Like I think they kind of tried it a little bit, to be honest, but I don't know, guys. I just want to get your overall thoughts on where you think it's kind of going to head from here, because I might be a little bit different than you guys, just to open the conversation, I guess, a bit. Like, I'm in a spot where I don't really care about the name, to be honest. Like, we lost the Browns in the 90s, and they didn't come back or gone for 4 years, whatever. If they're playing baseball in Cleveland, I'm happy. Like, I get it. If there is even one person out there who's offended by the name Indians and there's no one out there who's offended by the name Guardians, like, where I'm at in my head, it's like, okay, if everyone can enjoy this baseball team happily and no one's sad because of a name, that's cool with me. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I agree on just as long as the team being here. We got to talk about that earlier.
Right? Like who really cares what the
And
name
then I
is?
just got around to calling them Guardians every time without like messing it up and saying, oh, they're the Indians or whatever. So
I think
it's like,
guards rule's nice.
yeah,
too,
if we get to another point where we switch and then I got to go back to re-saying the other stuff, I just keep it, just stick with it. I would want to see the confidence in what they have chosen to not go back, and then it's a thing where you're just going back and forth. Like, if the Redskins become the Redskins again instead of the Commanders,
So,
it's like, what do we like?
That's the next domino that has to fall here. And I do think that was part of President Trump's motive to putting some of this out. He also called on the Washington Commanders to change back to the Washington Redskins. In that same post that he called out the Indians, that post went viral. And then he had another follow-up that is really pushing the Commanders to change back to the Redskins, because Washington, similar to what we're going through here in Cleveland, is in the midst of a pretty wild stadium pursuit. They want to build a new $4 billion enclosed dome on the site of the old RFK Stadium, and that's in D.C. That's federally owned land. So there is a school of thought and Trump alluded to it, that he can strong arm the Washington football organization into becoming the Redskins because they're going to be desperate to get that $4 billion stadium. Their current stadium at FedEx is in way worse shape than we've got over here at Cleveland Browns Huntington Bank Field on the lakefront. The Commanders need that new stadium, and it appears as if the President of the United States could strong-arm them into changing back to their former name in order to get that plot of land to build their new dome.
And it really comes down to how much you're okay being in Landover, Maryland. We're going to learn a lot based off that.
Yeah, shout out Clinton Portis and Sean Taylor, man.
Well, President Joe Biden signed a bill in January that transferred the land from the federal government to the District of Columbia. DC residents still elect their mayor. However, city council and commissioners, they run the day-to-day operations, including Congress maintains control of the city's budget. All right, we got to take our first break. When we get back, Chris Jimenez, former Major League catcher, of course, stints here with our Cleveland Guardians. He's going to join the show. We're going to ask him about everything about our Cleveland Guardians. Welcome on back into the Big Factor presented by our friends at Fairway Ford. Fairway Ford offers complete customization for any vehicle on the lot with their Fairway Black Label line. This series features custom upgrades like premium wheel and tire packages, a wide variety of level or lift kits, performance enhancements, and fully customized interior options. And every Fairway Black Label truck comes with a Rhino spray-in bed liner. Whether you're looking for an aggressive off-road stance, a bold street presence, or a one-of-a-kind build, visit Fairway Ford today. You will save thousands of dollars on your new truck. It's a short drive to Canfield. Visit fairwayfordohio.com to explore their current Black Label inventory. Give them a call to start your design today.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, we got to go there a couple weeks ago. Getting to drive a white Ford Bronco is probably the honor of my whole entire life. You know, don't want to be like OJ, but it's cool to get to relive a moment of history. With that, though, folks, we got Chris Jimenez, former Cleveland catcher, host of the pre- and post-game show for our Guards. Feels like 1948 anytime we got this guy in the building. So, Chris, started off light. We've had some good starting pitching the last couple of days. Gavin Williams looked awesome yesterday. Are we turning a corner a little bit?
Yeah, honestly, I think so. Truthfully, this has been a staple of our organization for a long time. The pitching factory is kind of what they're referred to around, the Major League Baseball circles. Gavin, to me, truthfully, has the stuff to become the Cy Young Award winner at some point in time in his career. It's just being as consistent as possible. He's had an issue with walks, which is an issue for a lot of guys. But if you look up and down our staff, I mean, from Gavin to Tanner, who's just, those two guys are bulldogs. The guy with the best stuff on the staff, and it's not even a question, is Joey Cantillo. Like, that kid's going to be unbelievably good. Then you got Slade Ciccone, who's come out of nowhere. Get him with Carl Willis, see what he does, and it's been a fun ride to watch, right? And then, obviously, you got Logan Allen, who, again, talk about the bulldog. That's my guy.
That's my guy. I am
him to
such
death.
a big Logan Allen fan.
I love him to death. He's a competitor, man. Like, does he have the best stuff? No. He'd be the first one to tell you that. But he's going to give you a chance to win a game. He's going to keep you in the game, and he's going to go out there and give it his all, and that's all you can really ask for.
Chris, how much does it say about Carl Willis? I know Corey
Everything.
Kluber joined that the staff as well. That Gavin's been able to make these steps, and Slade Ciccone seemingly comes out of nowhere and is able to be a really reliable starting pitcher. Like, what's it say about the Guards pitching staff that they're able to be this factory?
It's honestly, like, I joked around about it. I mean, it is everything, though, because you look at how they're able to take a lot of the metrics and stuff, which is a big deal in our game right now. And good or bad, however you think about it, it is what it is. But the key to me is being able to identify what's good and what's bad. How can we work on the good and still work on the bad? But then more importantly, how can you relate that to the player? Because each individual player is completely different. So you have to understand the person first and foremost. And maybe your approach to Slade Ciccone is different than it is to Gavin Williams. You know, I mean, they talk different. You see their interactions all the time, but it's understanding the player first and foremost. And now Carl just goes to work from there. He's got a magic wand somewhere in his pocket, because he can tap on guys and touch guys and whisper sweet nothings into everybody's ear. And he's obviously, you know, got the rapport to back it up. Like, you look at his, you know, look down the list, the laundry list of guys he's had a chance to work with, Cy Young Award winners. I've had a chance to catch a couple of them with Carl. I've been with Carl in 2 different organizations, Seattle and then obviously here in Cleveland. And, you know, we had Felix in Seattle. We had multiple guys here in Cleveland. And I think it's the buy-in that these guys get, because he's got the rapport to back it up. Plus, it's those sweet nothings that he whispers into your ear.
Chris, this might be the most difficult question you've had to answer in your trained media professional career to this point, so be ready here, okay? Of the starting pitchers currently on the roster, if you could compare one to Barrios, Stoner, Queso, who would get the nod?
I'm going Cantillo, because
Okay.
you look at it on surface level and you're like, all right, it's queso, right? And then you taste it and you're like, whoa, I want some more of that. Like, every time I watch Joey Cantillo, I want to see more of it.
So would you say the rice might be his changeup? Is that like the little thing?
Yeah, the changeup, and then obviously the cheese. We'll go with the fastball with the cheese, because that obviously plays. And
Yeah, it has to play.
That's the play for sure. But oh god, that stuff's so good.
Unbelievable. So sticking with the starting rotation a little bit, so we're in a bit of an odd spot right now where things are still up in the air with Luis Ortiz and if we'll get him back at some point this year. If you're managing the organization, like, how much are you accounting for the possibility of an Ortiz return when you're looking through AAA innings or the guys you have as options, or what you're going to do at the deadline?
So I think they would have been doing that regardless if he was here or not. Honestly, I truly feel like there's a good chance that he might not be here the rest of the year. So I think the contingency plans that go into effect, that'll also affect who and what they try to acquire at the trade deadline, if they sell or if they buy. You know, that's going to be a big thing, because that was a big loss. Don't get me wrong. Like, that guy's stuff is disgusting. And, obviously, apparently too disgusting, because he's he's got himself in a little bit of hot water. And obviously, I don't know anything about the situation other than what we all know. But we hope that nothing nefarious is going on. But it kind of looks hard to believe that at certain times, depending on who you ask. But yeah, I think there's always contingency plans no matter what. It would be the same thing if Tanner got hurt or Gavin got hurt, and heaven forbid, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But I do think that comes into play, in particular now that we're towards the trade deadline. You could see them kind of pivot in, if they do decide they need something. Because the one thing people forget now, the trade deadline is different than it was 5 years ago. You don't have that August 31st deadline to where you can claim somebody on waivers, take on that salary. You have to do all your evil doing right here at January. Hopefully you do it before January. July 31st, because now you almost have to prepare for your contingency plans, just in case somebody gets hurt.
Chris, what do you make out of this deadline? I think a lot of Guards fans are probably a little jarred reading Jeff Passan and seeing Quan and Emmanuel Clase both in his top 10 players that could be available come the deadline. What do you make out of what they're going to do?
Do I think they would ever give up those two guys? Yes, I do. Now, it would have to be the most perfect package. And the good position that we're in as an organization is we don't have to give either one of those guys up. Right. So it's not like, we've got 3 years left of Quan. We've got potentially 3 years left of Class A. That's extremely valuable on the open market. But at the same time, full well knowing it, if you set the bar as high as possibly you can, which is what the Guardians do, that's what they're known for anyway on the trade deadline. If a team doesn't come close to meeting it, you just shut down conversations and it's not a big deal. So, I know that's not a thing that we all want to talk about, but I could also see it being a possibility to where they do kind of buy and sell. Like I was telling you off air, I mean, I've had a couple of conversations with scouts about those two guys in particular and just their makeup, what these guys are about. And it's a scary conversation because you don't want to think about life, without those two guys in particular. And you can throw Cade Smith into that too. I mean, the value of those three guys right now is astronomically high. And just thinking about the return you potentially could get back for something like that is
it's tantalizing, but at the same point, you're trying to walk that fine line because those guys in the clubhouse are reading the same things that we're all reading. You know what I mean? And to their credit, they've come out of the gate. The second half, they've done exactly what they needed to do. They took the series against Oakland. Now it's a big series against Baltimore. You know, coming up starting today, you just have to continue to focus one game at a time and not get caught up in that. But don't get me wrong, those guys are reading that stuff too.
Dude, what's that like being in a big league clubhouse like around this time of year? You know, where these reports are out there.
Hide, or you can be like, this is the greatest thing ever. I mean, one of the best trade deadlines I ever had was 2 in a row. It was 2015 and 2016. 2015, I was in Texas, and I think we were 10.5 games out behind Houston, of all teams. And we ended up winning the division that year, which is insane to think about. So it's not out of the possibility that we can't do the same thing this year. But acquiring Cole Hamels, Jake Diekman, Sam Dyson, it was like, okay, like we're
going
in
for it,
this.
yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But my favorite one was obviously 16 here. Back when I was my third stint here, we knew we were close, but that group in general hadn't really gotten over that mental hurdle yet of we know we're good, but can we really compete with the big dogs of the league? And then I'm not kidding you, there was the biggest celebration ever when we found out we got Andrew Miller. That was like, it was so out of the ordinary for our organization to go give up our top prospects to go get somebody. But the fact that they did that, everybody in our clubhouse was like, holy crap, man, like we're going to win the World Series right now. Like that's how we all thought.
And how much does that change a locker room's head when you do go out and make those moves and give up the prospects? Because when you're a guy who's on the roster, you might not necessarily give a crap about a 22-year-old who's supposed to be really good because your time to win a World Series is right now. Like, does that really move the needle that much? Like, do you think if not that we're going to do this, but if they came out and went, F it, and now you're gone and we're bringing in someone big to help out the lineup, right? Like, would that be like hey, are we in this now?
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, you can send subliminal messages to the clubhouse without actually having those conversations with guys. Wow. Just certain things that are out in the media, they're out there for a reason. In regards to the organization, Jeff, like Passan and all the other guys, like they're doing their own due diligence and trying to find things out, any way they can. But anything that's thrown out there from the organization standpoint is kind of for a reason, to be honest with you. But it can absolutely reinvigorate you, or like in 2009 when we traded Victor, the year before that we traded CeCe, it was like we knew we were done. Like that was the saddest day of my life when we traded Victor. I never cried so much as an adult in my life.
Yeah, I just remember being like a little kid and just seeing him crying on the TV with the sunglasses on. Like that guy didn't want to leave town.
No,
evidently,
gosh, no.
So before we hit a break here, Chris, last question for you. This should be Nick's question, actually. I don't even know if I can ask this question because Nick has been a massive Angel Martinez guy the whole entire way. I was early on Angel Martinez, and I jumped off way too early as well. I'm not going to lie to you here. How good is this kid, and what are we going to see out of him the next couple of years?
Honestly, I actually think this kid's got a chance to be really good. Right-handed, he's been one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. He just doesn't have enough at-bats right-handed to qualify, for any sort of records or anything like that. He's been unbelievably good right-handed. Left-handed has been a little bit more of a work in progress. It's obviously also where he gets the majority of his at-bats, but you're starting to see some of those things, those adjustments offensively being made. He had a young at-bat yesterday where he had runners in scoring position, and he was hitting right-handed, and it was a young at-bat. I mean, it happens. I've had those.
I've had a couple of those in the show.
Yeah, me too. Literally and figuratively. Even when I was old.
Mine was figurative. Mine was not literal. Yeah.
We were talking about the game.
That's all right. It's all good.
Well, is it harder to hit sliders in the real show or the video game show?
I'm going to say the real show.
Okay.
Because the video game show, it's hard too. Don't get me wrong. But the real show, there's nothing like standing up there and you got a guy that's throwing 98 up at you, and then you got somebody that's like 93. I mean, like Clase,
can't turn the
how
difficulty
does
down
anybody
either.
hit Clase? Like seriously, I don't understand how that happens.
Straight ahead, it seems like Chase DeLauder, Juan Brito could be down for a bit of time. We will pick Chris Gimenez's brain on when they could be back and what this means for our guards. We'll be right back right here on The Big Factor. Welcome on back into the Big Factor right here on the Big Play Sports Network, talking to all things guards, getting you guys ready for the MLB trade deadline with our guy, Chris Jimenez. Chris, we got a little bit of tough news. Chase DeLauder, Juan Brito seems like could be down for a couple weeks. That's just brutal.
Devastating. It is because, I mean, obviously a lot of noise was made about DeLauder being up here, and especially when, we were going through it a little bit with that 10-game losing streak. I hate to say he kind of proved everybody right, because this isn't a knock on CDL at all. It's just, it's been his, his career so far, is he just has not been able to stay healthy. And trust me, I truly think Cleveland wants him to be here. There are just certain progressions that he has to get through and prove to the organization that he can overcome before they put him up here, because I know fans don't want to hear it, and I totally understand it. But, I mean, you're not going to throw him up here and have him get hurt the second day, and then now he's accruing service time when, he could have not been, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
as we all know how things work here in Cleveland, are we really the first team that's going to sign him up for, a $250, $300 million deal? No, we're not. And they have to be extremely smart with how they work things. And I think this is just kind of one of those stepping stones that he's got to figure out a way. And again, some of these things aren't his fault. I'm not saying he's actively going out there and trying to get hurt by any means. It's just some stuff happens. But he's got to prove that he can stay on the field before he gets a chance up here.
And we're entering such a tough point now, because I think regardless of where you thought this team would be on opening day, you probably thought the first level of reinforcements would be Chase DeLauder. You have to learn about him in the outfield, Juan Brito in the infield. What these kids aren't going to be up now. Now you're at a point where, hey, they might not even be ready until past August 1st. Right. At that point, hey, are you just going to throw them in the heat of what could still be a playoff race? That's a really tough thing to do.
It is.
Then you're looking at another year where these guys are on, Juan Brito's been on the 40-man since he got to Cleveland for Nolan Jones 3 years ago. That'll be 4 full years on the 40-man roster without playing in the major leagues.
And that won't happen. Trust me, he will be here at some point, just because they won't risk losing a guy like that. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like Gabby Arias, truthfully, this year he was out of options. The guy is easily the most talented player on the field, including Jose, at any point in time. He just has not been able to consistently figure it out. The guy's got more talent, honestly, than Mike Trout. Maybe not that much, but close. But he hasn't been able to figure it out. If you see the way
it's ball Oppo, sometimes you think it for a second.
It's the stupidest thing on planet Earth. I'm like, dude, why don't you just
if you could do that one more time a week, I'd have a jersey.
Yeah,
like that.
I might too. That's a good call.
So switching from a problem to a problem, to be honest with you, where is your head at currently on Bo Naylor as a catcher? Because we're in such an odd spot where the bat hasn't quite developed fully to what we were hoping for, but there's not really anyone in the minors who could help you either. Is this a work through in the majors thing still, or would you even consider it?
I mean, it has to be, just because we don't really. There's nobody pushing him from the bottom up, and as much as we all love Austin Hedges, he's here for a specific reason. And that specific reason, at least right now, is to not play every day. And I don't mean that. That's not a knock on Hedgie by any means. He is really, really good at what he does in the role he does it. I just think that, Bo, for whatever reason, defensively, he's been really good. I know he had the mishap the other day in, with the not blocking the ball. That's, that can happen at times. You get mentally a little lazy, and I think that's kind of what happened there. But he'll learn from that. I don't see another option that they have right now, at least, to go to. Now, they could always acquire somebody, whether that be, at the trade deadline before it, or, somehow off waivers or something like that to continue to push him. But I think this is, this half of the season is going to be a really, really important one for him going forward.
Let me ask both you guys this, because I am, for a plethora of reasons, nowhere near an MLB front office, but where my head is at is the bat from Bo Naylor. I don't, with what he's giving right now, I don't think a drop off of 2 weeks of Austin Hedges and Dom Nunez would be that much
Honestly,
of a
that's fair.
slash line difference. My head's just at what if not the final last chance saloon for this kid, but what if you send him down for 2 weeks, he gets his bat confident for the first time, and probably during this presidential administration at minimum, it's been at least 2 years. Right? I don't know. Am I that crazy?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to talk out loud here, guys. I don't know.
I love it. I like your style.
Do something.
Yeah.
I understand that, and I'm not saying that that's not even, a bad thought process, truthfully. You got to weigh in the fact that what does it do to him mentally to send him down, too, and, even if you can say, hey, you're only going to be down here for 2 weeks, there's no guarantee he's going to be down there for 2 weeks. What if he goes down for 2 weeks and it's even worse than it was up here? Now you're in a tough situation to where
Cody Huff, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Like it might have to be something like that, unfortunately. But I do think the value he provides is defensively. So, at least for right now, it sucks even more that, the bottom half of our lineup hasn't really been hitting. This, last 10 days has been great, which is awesome. But it obviously is magnified even more when the bottom half of your lineup in general hasn't been hitting.
For sure. Chris, doing this, we talk to a lot of fans and, just people that come up to us and want our perspective on the team. The president had some thoughts yesterday about the name, and I feel like that's something that people always ask me. Like people that I don't know, like what do you think about the name change?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I just met you for the first time. And
How's your day?
Yeah. But do you get a pulse on the general consensus of people that come up to you asking about name change stuff?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, super hot topic.
Yeah.
The president just came out and tweeted a bunch of stuff about it, and I'm an Indian. I mean, I was literally raised in this organization as a 21-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I kind of became an adult in this organization. They helped and I mean this without respect, with respect to my dad, they helped, make me become an adult, truthfully,
Right.
because you come from college. We all know what we did in college. We did some fun stuff, I guess you could say. Some of us maybe more than others, but, as soon as I got here, they had people there that took me under their wing that kind of literally helped raise me. So it's hard for me because I'm an Indian through and through. I mean, you could see, look at the back of my shirt, for goodness sakes,
Do the full turn?
Look at that.
I mean, I completely understand why they changed the name, right? And I respect the heck out of the reason they wanted to do it. But I think in general, more people I talk to, it's probably 60-40 of people that want to keep it the same, being 40%, and people that want it to go back. I mean, you guys were born and raised here. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't, but I feel like this is my second home, and it's just kind of a part of me. So I don't know if that's a great answer or not, but I personally, I mean, I can go either way on it, but I'm an Indian, from the ground up. So to me, it kind of holds a special place in my heart.
No, it's a good answer. I feel like a lot of us kind of subscribe to the school of thought, especially we're kind of the younger generation of sports. We did grow up with it being the Indians, and I do think there's an element of, for a lot of fans, that this is a city that lost the Browns, so there's a little bit of just, we're grateful we got a team. You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, there's probably some PTSD to that too.
We're just glad we got a Cleveland baseball team. Period.
What would we do in Cleveland in the summer if we didn't have a baseball team?
That's a good question.
There would be literally nothing to do in this town.
Be hunting midges, man.
More or less. Yeah, lightning bugs, I guess, too. Those are kind of making a comeback. Crazy. Great conversation with our guy, Chris Jimenez. Make sure to throw him a follow on social. I know we've had it up on the screen this whole interview. Chris, we'll have to do this again sometime soon. It's been nice having you down in studio.
Epic. I love it. The studio is great. This whole thing has been fantastic.
Love
Thanks
it.
for coming on, bro.
Love it. We'll be back with more of The Big Factor right after this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Nick Padone, Rob Watson, Jack O'Rourke. Huge shout out to Chris Jimenez for coming onto the program. Always good stuff with him. Before we get into football, I got to tell you about our friends at Garage Beer. Garage Beer comes in just 2 flavors, classic light lager, as well as that classic lime. No frills, no bitterness, none of that IPA taste. It's just beer the way you want it to taste, and that's beer-flavored beer. Scan that QR code or go give their website a visit, drinkgaragebeer.com, to find local retailers who sell garage beer near you. Again, that's at drinkgaragebeer.com. Well, guys, Browns training camp is officially here. Rookies reported on July 18th, veterans to report on July 22nd. Right now, 90 players. That will be whittled down to just 53 after the preseason. That deadline is 4 p.m. on August 27th. We start here with the most tantalizing of the competitions, and that's, of course, none other than quarterback. The Browns apparently are blown away by Dillon Gabriel processing speed during the offseason program. And according to NFL Network's Judy Bautista, Gabriel has received a heavy dose of first-team reps alongside Kenny Pickett during OTAs and minicamp. Dillon Gabriel, 6 years in college, 3 at UCF, 2 at Oklahoma before transferring to Oregon. His final season, 64 career games. We saw this with Bo Nix last year, guys, but a big difference in size between him and Dillon Gabriel. But right now it appears Dillon Gabriel has maybe not an inside edge to start week 1. I think the consensus is we still believe it will be a veteran, but Dillon Gabriel impressing early in Berea.
I think of the rookies, it's fair to say has an inside track based off of these reports and what we're hearing. Look, I want to caution people, right? Because this is the first week of training camp. It's going to be easy to get people excited. I've already seen some of the social media videos that are out there. That's only going to be magnified on Wednesday when the Cleveland Browns beat arrives in Berea to cover camp. This is early. It is July. The calendar hasn't even flipped to August. These guys haven't even put pads on. So it's really hard to evaluate. It's really hard to continue to pump air into the tires that are Dillon Gabriel when we haven't even seen him throw a practice with our own 2 eyes at the facility in pads. So it's very early into the process, but I guess you could say that it's a good thing that the Browns are excited about how smart he is. I think there's just a big difference and a lot of nuance in between being a smart quarterback and being a good NFL quarterback that can win games on Sunday. Like, glad that he's got the first part of it solved, but there's a lot more to follow here.
Listen, that's why it makes so much sense that they like the kid, and it's because this whole thing where it's like we've had this like kind of even Revenge of the Nerds label with what we've been doing up here in Berea, and it's just they love being smarter than everyone. They love thinking they're the smartest people in the room. So now they want to have this quarterback that's this other brainiac. You know, we've tried the guys that had the talent. Tried the dudes that kind of just sling the ball around, veterans. We've had it all. But then he got to go get a guy, maybe not his guy, but sounds like it was his guy because we kind of overdrafted the kid. And he's super smart. So if we put the super smart kid with the super smart coach and GM in our perfect little offense, we're going to just take over everyone. I don't know. I don't quite see it yet, but maybe he'll be the smart guy that could just game manage for us and get some things done. But I'm not going to hold my breath on that.
Yeah, I'm convinced he's still an industry plant.
This is the time where any news we get, because we're starving for football, is going to be talked about, and it's going to be twisted which way you want to twist it as. If you're a Dillon Gabriel guy, you read this, and this is great confirmation bias. If you're a Shador guy, you don't love this news because it likely means that Shador won't start as soon as you want him to start. Dillon Gabriel, a third-round pick. Nobody was going to take him. You could have took him around later probably. They didn't want to take that risk. They identified this guy as their quarterback of this draft. You can't get that twisted, right? And if Dillon Gabriel is impressing at camp, he's picking up the playbook faster than people thought, which makes sense. College, 6 years, 3 different programs. You see a lot of defenses. Yeah. You get a lot of homework and tape watch, and this doesn't surprise me. I mean, that was the Dillon Gabriel thing. It was the knock on the height. Everything else, he was a quarterback 1. A lot of people would have had him as a top 3, top 2 quarterback process if he was 6'4". We know that. At the end of the day, this is just reassurance for the Browns to tell us why they drafted him. He's doing exactly what they thought, and that's why they drafted him.
And Ryan, at the end of the day, like, we got to see the guy on the field in an actual practice with pads on. How about a preseason game with pads on? How about let's really get crazy, a regular season game with pads on, like, before we can crown somebody, you know, the savior that we found our guy. And that's what makes this year. And I think that's why, at least me personally, I'm really excited for this season, because I do want to see Dillon Gabriel. And I've been pretty vocal on this show. Like, I do think Shador Sanders has a higher ceiling in what he can become, but I want to see Gabriel on the field field this year because I want to find out if he could stop the Browns from drafting a quarterback in the first round next year. Like, I want to see it with my own two eyes on the field come this fall. And I don't know if that's September 7th. I don't know if I'm willing to say that he should be the week 1 starter, but he should get real in-season reps this year because this remains a season that's a trial mode. We're trying to figure stuff out.
So, Nick, when you look at it at this point in time with Dillon Gabriel, if he's this far ahead of Shedeur Sanders, or allegedly at this point in time, you know he's going to go out first already because he was taken in the 3rd round above Shedeur Sanders. At a certain point, how long is his leash going to be, do you think? Is there a way where if they do view him this highly, is it worth it to roll out maybe a second consecutive bad start before you even see Shedeur? Because I feel like the way my mind is built is you have to go quarterback by quarterback and give a guy, like, you almost can't put Shedeur out there until you're done with Dillon Gabriel in a weird way. And it sends a weird message.
It's so tough to have this conversation because, again, it's July.
Yeah.
Like, I think all of this, Jack, to answer your question, the view on this whole thing, I think, will become a lot clearer come preseason because I think that will give you a better look at where these guys are stacked up against each other. And that's the issue with drafting 2 quarterbacks, full stop. That's the reason why it's very seldomly done. And it's the reason why a lot of people winced when the Browns did it, because this is an organization that since 1999 has had troubles drafting and developing 1 rookie quarterback, let alone 2. So I do think whether it's Shedeur, whether it's Dillon Gabriel, whoever gets the first crack at it, you're right. That needs to be a true, honest crack where they're given a set amount of games to prove that they're the guy before you could turn the page and flip things over to the next one. I don't know that there's a guarantee that we get to see Shedeur this year, and I think that would be crazy. I think that's the wrong way to look at this, but maybe there's a world where they want to go Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett half the season and then give it to Dillon Gabriel, their guy, and they see Shedeur as more of a project developmental, Joe Milton type guy that's off on an island on his own. I don't know. It'll be very fascinating to see how this all unfolds.
I don't get gassing him up on this, though. They just said they sent him home with the playbook, and he came back and he kind of did his homework, guys.
That's what the report
better if you're my height.
Let's not just congratulate fishes for swimming, you know? Like, you're the quarterback. That's your job. You should know it like the back of your hand, inside out. I want to know what the kid's going to do when there's people like TJ Watt coming after him. And sure, you process the play, you know what coverage they're in, but when you hike the ball, what are you going to do when Highsmith and Watt are coming off the edge and you got to throw into an inch of separation because they're triple teaming Jerry Jeudy? David Njoku's bracketed, and the only guy you got left to throw to is David Bell. Then what are we going to do,
McNeil said it best on Big Play Cleveland this week. You watched the full show in the Big Play Sports Network app. I wonder if some of these Gabriel reports and leaks and things that are getting out there are the Browns trying to prop him up because the Shedeur hype train is just there naturally. You know, like, you got videos of him at KFC, you got videos of him in the community. Every time that he touches a football at practice, it's an Instagram reel or a TikTok that comes of that. So I do wonder if the Browns are trying to drum up a little bit more of Dillon Gabriel just for his own confidence. So he knows, hey, we drafted you first. You are a 3rd round pick. We do believe in you, you know, just to kind of put more wind
That's a
back
real
into
thing,
Dillon
though, dude. That is a real
Gabriel's
thing when you take a quarterback right
wonder.
after, too.
We're worrying about off the field.
I completely agree. When Dillon Gabriel was drafted here to Cleveland, first of all, the first emotion, I believe, out of most people was shock.
Yeah,
You thought
yeah.
if there was going to take a quarterback there, it might have been Shedeur Sanders. Hell, it could have been somebody else. But it was Dillon Gabriel, a guy that some people had an undrafted grade. Now, whether that was fair or not, I don't know. I'll let you to decide that, and we'll figure out in the future when we see his career play out. But you had rookies, other Browns rookies, throwing up the wrist. You have fans clamoring, not just in Cleveland. Now you are a national centerpiece for attention by drafting Shedeur Sanders, clamoring for Shedeur Sanders to start when you don't even know if the other rookie's going to start. It's probably going to be a vet in Kenny Pickett or Joe Flacco. I think there is something for the Browns to talk him up, to let Dillon Gabriel know that, listen, you have as good of a chance to start for this football team as anybody in this room. And we're going to throw you in there, and listen, it's up to you to figure out whether or not we're going to pull you. So I think there is something to the team talking up Dillon Gabriel, even if it's just a little bit of a confidence boost for the kid who, let's call it, in today's day and age, they're all on social media. Whether they say or not, they see things, they hear people talk, and everybody loves Shedeur. At least in Cleveland, it seems to that they do. And for Dillon Gabriel to come in here and be that second fiddle, even though you were drafted 2 rounds ahead of a guy, I think that can be a lot to process.
Ryan, you brought up a great point about the circus, too. Like, there's something about Jimmy Haslam where even if the guy will never know how to formulate a winning football team, he's equally as good at, like, as hard as it is to win football games, he's just as good at just making a circus at all given times so people will never leave the building. It's kind of impressive.
It's a business at the end of the day.
Man, we're doing everything but just play the game, bro.
It's like Monday Night Raw.
We're talking up Kenny Pickett because maybe we want to trade him. We got to boost up Dylan Gabriel's confidence, bro. We're just doing everything but being good at football.
There's something to be said, too, that Shedeur still remains to be the guy that is the golden ticket, right? Like, he still has the bigger upside than Dylan Gabriel. I'm sorry. I get that Dylan Gabriel's smart. I've seen Shedeur Sanders play. I've seen him find Travis Hunter streaking down a sideline and have that big-time arm, that explosive style of offense that we want the Browns to get back to, that we want to see a modern NFL offense. I think Shedeur Sanders still, after all of this talk about Pickett and Gabriel, like, gives the Browns the best chance to escape the hell that they created for themselves when they made the Deshaun Watson trade.
I watched Riley Leonard play better than Dylan Gabriel against Ohio State in the big-time moments. So if that says anything about our guy, man.
I wish this was not a television episode because I would have gone on a great rant, but no one wants to hear that.
Well, I don't know who's going to start for the Browns week 1, but I think I know at least who's going to start for the Titans week 1. More than likely Cam Ward. News came out, Will Levis going to have season-ending surgery. That's going to be Cam Ward's job. I feel like it already pretty much was Cam Ward's job before that injury happened, but that all but cements it. We'll talk about that and other news and notes from around the NFL when we get back on the Big Factor. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Big Factor on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Nick Padone, Rob Watson, and Jack O'Rourke. We're flipping it over to the Tennessee Titans, talking about news and notes from around the NFL. But before we do that, Nick, we got to tell everybody about the Geauga Fair.
When I think about the Geauga County Fair, I think of my favorite F word, fun. Demolition derby, truck pull, rodeo, food, live entertainment, live animals. You guys got to come join us. Thursday, August 28th through Monday, September 1st, we will be at the Geauga County Fair. It's going to be a ton of fun. You could get your tickets online now, geaugafair.com. Fair entry is open, so you could enter into the fair. Advanced ride tickets also available now. Get your tickets, geaugafair.com, starting at just $10 for some of the most fun you're going to have with your family this summer. Children 6 and under get in for completely free. The 202nd. You don't get away with doing 201 of something if it's not a pretty good time. 202nd Geauga County Fair. Get your tickets, geaugafair.com.
Alrighty, well, news and notes from around the NFL. Titans quarterback Will Levis has elected to have season-ending surgery on his right shoulder. This paves the way, if it wasn't already crystal clear, for the number 1 overall pick in last year's draft, Cam Ward, to start for the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward may be the least talked about number 1 player in the NFL draft in recent history, especially insane given the fact that he's a quarterback. But I suppose when you have guys like Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders in the draft as well, some of that gets overshadowed. The Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward, week 1, more than likely going to start for them. I already think it was going to happen without a doubt.
I mean, if you're the Titans, this is what you've probably wanted ever since you had the number 1 overall pick. And what was that? I don't even think it took them till week 18. I think the draft order was cemented in week 17. So this is what you've wanted. You get what you want. Will Levis, I get he's shown a little bit of promise during his time in Tennessee. But at this point, we know what Will Levis is. We know what this entire situation is. It's Cam Ward time for the Tennessee Titans, and I think that's a good thing. When you draft these quarterbacks early, I know there's always a lot of people that say, put them on the shelf, put them on the bench. They could really use a year to learn. That worked for Patrick Mahomes because Alex Smith was a pretty good quarterback. Will Levis ain't really Alex Smith. I hate to say it. There's not a whole lot of learning that would have happened there. It would have been a lot of competing, yeah, but I ultimately think that this is going to turn out to be the best move for the Tennessee Titans, because with these rookie quarterbacks, guys, like if Cam Ward hits, great. It's full steam ahead in Tennessee. If he misses, though, you got a year and a half, 2 years, these rookie quarterbacks now. Otherwise, the Titans are going to go right back into the well and find the next rookie quarterback to try to turn that thing around.
This is definitely a mini what happened to the game I love moment. I think when you look at great NFL memes, Derek Carr retiring and Will Levis being out for the year is just going to kill quarterback memes across the league. So that's important to note. But I wanted to ask you guys, so with this news, Levis goes down. Like, I don't know how much you're trusting Tim Boyle to put his best foot forward and lead a quarterback room either. If you're the Titans, are Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett on your roster by the time we head to Cedar Point in August?
Well, he's likely to be back up by Brandon Allen, actually, rather than Tim Boyle. But your point remains the same. If you're the Cleveland Browns and you're willing to give away a Joe Flacco or a Kenny Pickett, and you're the Tennessee Titans and you want one of these vets, Joe Flacco would be the perfect one to mentor Cam Ward. Now, whether or not you view you need a mentor, that's for their decision to decide. He's already going to be thrusted in week 1, so it's not like a scenario where he'd sit a couple weeks and then you'd have your clear bridge to Cam Ward. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Tennessee Titans and all it takes is what, a 6th, a 5th, I don't know what it would cost for a Joe Flacco. And if you're the Browns, you take that, you get back more than what you paid for it, and it kind of clears the way, makes the crystal clear quarterback picture. Won't be crystal clear, but it'll make it a little more clear.
Yeah,
it, could be
it
a win-win
certainly
for
won't
both.
be the mud that it is now. Yeah, I don't think that happens. I really don't. I think Cam Ward and Brandon Allen are good enough. Brandon Allen's a guy that's been around the block. You know, he's been a backup quarterback in a number of different spots here in the great state of Ohio. In Cincinnati was kind of his latest stop. So I think that's fine, because that also keeps the pressure off Cam Ward. Like, if you're the Titans, you're an organization that's in the middle of a rebuild. Why are you going to give the Browns a draft pick for Kenny Pickett, who's never been any good, or Joe Flacco, who's certainly not a part of your long-term view? I think if you're Tennessee, you're probably trying to find a way to make the marriage of Cam Ward and a guy like Brandon Allen, you know, a veteran backup on a cheap, inexpensive backup role. Like, you want to make that relationship work long-term. So I saw, Ryan, there has been a lot of scuttlebutt about the Titans potentially trading for either Pickett or Flacco. I just personally don't see that happening.
I seriously think the most interesting thing that comes out of this, because we all knew Cam Ward was going to start, there was never going to be a comp, is
Right.
who takes on Will Levis as the reclamation project now, moving on to when he comes back. Who's going to be the team that takes a shot? I don't know, the Browns might actually put their hand
He
in
is
the
very
pot
Browns-coded.
on
He's very
that
Browns-coded.
too, where maybe we draft a kid and we bring up Will Levis and have another competition. But yeah, I'm not. It's what it is. I don't think if they traded, I think they would get Joe Flacco just as like insurance. But I think Cam Ward's probably just gonna play. So I don't think they'll trade for one of our backup guys. Think they're still headed to New Orleans, but I think expected, everything expected out there in Tennessee right now.
Yeah, other news around the NFL. Desmond Ridder signing with the Cincinnati Bengals to back up Joe Burrow.
Ryan, how do you
Obviously,
feel about
as a
that?
Bearcat, going back to Cincy.
Go.
I love Desmond Ridder. He was one of those college quarterbacks that was great, but you knew he probably wasn't going to cut it in the NFL. So far, that's been the theme for him in his career.
One
I
of
hope
those
he can make
streets
it
won't
work in
forget,
Cincinnati.
guys.
And I mean, if you're going to go be a place to be a backup, go somewhere you expect to win, and I expect the Bengals to win. Given that defense, I understand, but still, they're going to score so many points. I expect them to win. You go to a winning place, you get a backup, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league right now, and Joe Burrow, and you get a little bit of a homecoming. Everybody loves Desmond Ridder in Cincinnati. It makes a lot of sense for
Didn't
him.
he wear number 9?
Yeah.
He did.
Is he going to steal
He
it
did.
from Burrow, who's wearing number 9?
That
I
costs a
doubt
lot.
Is he going to
to
pay him for it?
I
I
doubt
doubt
that.
that.
Who do you guys think? Who do you guys think eventually takes 4 off Deshaun in Cleveland?
It'll be somebody not currently on
a
the
rookie
roster.
is just going to
It's
pick
just
the
a random
number.
guy, not even like a stud gets it. Okay.
I will say they should treat number 4 like the
like a cancer.
no, like how the Cavs treated 2 when Kyrie left. Like, somebody should come in right away, like a really random player, like a 6th wide receiver, and put on the 4.
Okay,
like
just to get the-
rip
yeah.
the band-aid off. That never happened.
How
Like,
sexist.
let's
See,
I
all
wasn't
pretend
sure.
like
I
that
wasn't
never
sure
happened.
where I thought you were going to go with it, Nick. I thought you were going to say the opposite route of like you retire 4 in a bad way of like it's like the 13th
haunted.
floor of
It's
a
a
hotel. You
haunted
just never
number.
go there again.
It's
No
a
one else wears
haunted-
4.
The Browns do have a couple, like 19's haunted.
If Cedric Tillman learns the playbook, you never know.
19's a haunted number in Cleveland.
Yeah.
All right, let's take our last break. When we get back, we'll wrap up this bad boy. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Big Factor on the Big Play Sports Network. Wrapping it up here. Ryan Tyler, Nick Padone, Rob Watson, Jack O'Rourke. We're talking about basketball, our Cleveland Cavaliers. It's been quiet. Things have settled down a little bit. Maybe a big domino and LeBron will come. But for now, we look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. You made moves. You got Larry Nance. You brought in Lonzo Ball. Victor Oladipo, a name that has been mentioned in the streets, potentially maybe linked to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's been a Dan Gilbert guy since he came into the league. Obviously not the same player that he was due to injuries. But Victor Oladipo, 30-plus, would he make an impact on this roster? And is this somebody that you'd like to see the Cavs go after?
What are we cooking, bro? What are we cooking?
I said it on Big Play Cleveland today. It is like that meme, that Pawn Stars meme with Rick Harrison, where we've been campaigning for literal months about the Cavs potentially bringing LeBron James home. Like, that's a big conversation. If you think about that, like the opportunity to bring LeBron back to where he's from, like the greatest basketball player of all time. And then Rick Harrison hits you with the best I can give you is Victor Oladipo.
Dude, I'll do you
what
for
are we
another
doing?
meme. Who want me? Just 100% no. I haven't heard anyone else going after this guy. And no disrespect, like you used to be that guy, great player, Victor Oladipo. Nothing but respect for your game, but like this isn't moving the ticker in the Big 25 for us. Like at that point, just play Tyson or Proctor off the bench. Like he's not going to start. Like, it's another injury-prone guy. We're getting reckless. We already got Lonzo. What are we going to do? Our big two pickups might be out halfway through the year, and then we're just back to square one with nothing. You can't take too many risks on that. We need to bring in some proven guys, or we got to see what we got from some younger dudes. I just don't want to see it at all.
All right, real quick, your guys' thoughts. Chris Paul back to the Clippers. Who knows if this is going to be his last year chasing that illustrious NBA championship ring for the first time in his career. Is it going to be with the Clippers? No, probably not. But a cool moment for the Clippers to get back a guy that is one of the best players in their franchise history.
Yeah, good summer for reunions. It really is, because we
LA
talked about
retirement home, man.
Yeah, we talked about Dame going back, but this is so unserious for Chris Paul. It's almost even more unserious for the Clippers. They just insist on playing second fiddle to the Lakers out there in LA. This doesn't move the needle for them too much at all. Will be fascinating to see him back in a Clippers uniform, but it just doesn't mean much.
We will be there for the 4-5 matchup. Whoever they play is the 5 seed. We will be there, and they will lose in the first round in 6, but we will be there. But Chris Paul and ring, same sentence in LA. No.
What does Blake Griffin have left in the tank? How about DeAndre Jordan?
I love DeAndre.
Bring him back.
Blake Griffin's
Lob
probably
City.
got better knees than Victor Oladipo right now, if I'm being honest. But
Low blow.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you tuning into the Big Fact on the Big Play Sports Network. Keep shout out Fairway Ford Garage Beer, Geauga County Fair. Go get your tickets now. It's coming up faster than you think. All right, everybody. We're out of here. Peace.